podcast on KDKA.
Well, if you happen to be in Oakland right now, driving past the McGee Women's Hospital, you may see a group of demonstrators out there, and they call themselves the Bloodstained Men and Their Friends. I think this is a form of child abuse, what they're protesting. And the founder, one of the co-founders of the organization, is on the line with us right now. He calls himself Brother K. So, Brother K, welcome to KDKA.
Thank you, Mike. I'm pleased to be here with you and the wonderful folks of Pittsburgh. I have a lot of roots with some of my loved ones in the Pittsburgh area, so I have a fondness for Pittsburgh.
Okay. He's on our 84 Lumber Newsline. First question I have to ask you is that what's with the Brother K? Because I asked your publicity person, does he have a last name? And she said, no, that's his legal name. What's the deal with that?
Well, I changed my name in 1986 as a result of having been circumcised as a baby. The full story is told in an interview on the internet. If you Google, put in the Google box, Brother K's story. That's K''S. My last name is the letter K. And I think that'll answer your questions and your listeners' questions, Mike.
All right. Well, but we're on the air right now, so let's talk about it in kind of broad terms. Why are you protesting? Why did you form this organization, Bloodstained Men and Their Friends? And what is it precisely that you are protesting?
Circumcision is the hidden trauma that American society has suffered for about 100 years, a little over 100 years. It's a horrible thing that we're doing to baby boys in the United States of America. We're supposed to be a land of the free and the home of the brave, and we are basically hog-tying baby boys, throwing them down on a board, hog-tying them and cutting off the best part of their penis. It's savage, it's brutal, it's barbaric, and no one else in the world does this to their babies in the hospital. The United States is the only one where doctors are doing this to babies in the hospital.
Well, wait a minute. This is also cultural and religious too. They certainly do this in other parts of the world.
Well, yes, sir. They do in other parts of the world, but not in hospitals. We're talking about medicine. We're not a society where doctors perform religious surgery in hospitals. And we expect doctors to behave as doctors, not as something else.
Okay, I get that point. However, I've heard it said, in fact, somebody said this to me today, because I believe it or not, I was getting some heat from some colleagues, and others were saying, well, I don't quite understand what the problem is, and isn't this a beneficial thing? So let's take a couple of these things here. First and foremost, let's go to this. This was raised to me today, and I've heard this before. They say, well, this is actually a healthful thing to do. This is actually helps prevent disease and other complications if you do circumcisions on baby boys. What's the truth?
Mike, the truth is that the European medical community has condemned the American medical community for these preposterous health allegations or these preposterous health claims they make about circumcision. None of them are true. They are essentially BS, and I could use stronger language, but I know you're on the air.
Well, we need to be family-friendly. I noticed that your description of the demonstration was that it was going to be a family-friendly demonstration at McGee.
Yes, sir, and I'm sitting in my car. I'm sitting in my car right outside the demonstration, and we have several babies in strollers, and their moms with them right at this moment as we speak. Okay,
all right, but you say it's preposterous that this is a disease prevention, healthful act. You're saying it's absolutely not.
Yes, sir. That's absolutely. It's just absolute nonsense. It literally is just a bunch of baloney. They introduced circumcision in the United States in the late 19th century. One John Harvey Kellogg, among several others, introduced in the United States to prevent and punish boys for masturbation. And when that became socially unacceptable to admit that that's why you were circumcising baby boys, they began coming up with these cock and bull stories about how, oh, well, it protects against this disease and that disease, and it's all a bunch of nonsense. Any brief research on the internet where you don't research one of their pages, you'll find out the truth. The men around the world get along fine with normal bodies, no problems.
Okay, but why? I know in the Judeo-Christian background or community culture, this is done as a matter of course. This Jewish men are circumcised, and Christians apparently do the same thing for much the same reasons, I guess, religious reasons. Often in if you go to the Bible and you see some of the regulations and strictures about how you're supposed to prepare foods or how you're supposed to keep foods, you find some common wisdom there, common sense wisdom that actually makes sense for health reasons and other reasons and hygienic reasons. Is it not possible that this is how this developed as a religious procedure, a religious ritual?
No, sir, it's not possible. And I'll tell you why. The men who founded our country, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, none of those men were circumcised. America was not a country of circumcision, nor were our forefathers and our ancestors from other countries. It's been explicitly a religious practice among certain peoples of the world.
With no basis, with no basis in any practical reasons.
No, sir. No, sir.
Well, then,
I mean, after the fact, they've tried to claim it. I mean, because they're not insane. They're not crazy. They know that it appears to be a very bizarre thing to do to a baby boy or girl, and it is. It's just as bizarre to do it to a baby boy as it is to a girl. And girls are protected by federal law in the United States. You cannot so much as draw a drop of blood from a baby girl's genitals. And there are people who want to do that for religious reasons.
Yeah, all right.
It's a felony.
All right, hold that thought. We're going to continue in a moment in our next segment. Brother K is that's his legal name. Brother K is the co-founder of Bloodstained Men and their friends. They're having a demonstration right now in front of McGee Women's Hospital against the practice of circumcision. And in fact, this is just one demonstration among many across the country that is occurring currently. Traffic on the fives coming up.
Mike Pintek.
All right, one more segment with Brother K. Brother K is the legal name of the co-founder of Bloodstained Men and their friends. And if you're in Oakland right now, driving past or near or stop there at McGee Women's Hospital, you will see the demonstrators, and they are being family-friendly. They're demonstrating against the routine practice of circumcision. And I'm surprised, actually, these numbers are not higher. You say in your news release, Brother K, that about half of the male babies in the country are circumcised on a routine basis. Was it once higher than that?
Actually, it was, Mike, in the heyday of circumcision, which would have been probably the 1950s, 1960s, and even possibly the 1980s. It was estimated to be about 85%.
Okay. But so now, and it's dropped down to half now, roughly half of male babies now are circumcised. Because why?
Well, I think we're hearing stories right here on the front lines of this struggle. We have parents coming up to us and telling us that the doctors cajoled them, manipulated them, told them nothing. They come and say, we're here to take your baby and circumcise them. Basically, doctors are coming and taking mom's babies and circumcising them without informing them of the absolute unnecessity of it. It's not needed.
Yeah, and you said earlier on that you were complaining about the fact that this is done in hospitals and it's not done anywhere else in the world, is the claim that you made. In a hospital, it's done under religious auspices, so it's done like I forget the terminology, but the Jewish people do this, and they do it not in the hospital, they do it at somebody's house, right?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And so you're saying in the rest of the world that's how it's done. You're objecting to it being done in hospitals again. Why?
Because it's not a medical practice.
Okay.
Doctors should not be performing a cosmetic or cultural or religious surgery on human subjects. In my opinion, it's been a great a horrible 100-year experiment on baby boys.
And you made the other point, too, and I think this is an interesting point, that it is actually a crime to do female circumcision. This is something that happens around the world as well in various cultures, particularly apparently in Africa and those places, I think.
Mike, not only that, but people feel so strongly about female circumcision that in the United States, when we outlawed it in 1997, people were taking their daughters overseas on circumcision vacations to have their daughters circumcised overseas. So the federal government had to step in and subsequently pass a law making that a felony. It's now a felony to take your daughter out of the United States to have her circumcised.
But it's not against the law. It's not a felony. It's not a crime at all to have a male baby circumcised.
They can cut as much skin as they want off the baby. There's no rule.
Why the double standard, do you think?
I think that we have fallen into the black hole of what one of my friends calls circumcision insanity. It really is a type of cultural insanity, Mike. People lose their judgment as to how much they're damaging and harming their babies. People love their babies, but doctors have convinced them that this is a beneficial thing. It's savage and cruel. Babies pass out. They give sugar water to babies to keep them from passing out.
And I'm going again back to what you said earlier. You said there's no medical reason for doing this, and the European physicians, medical experts are saying that there's no good medical reason, no health reason, no hygienic reason for doing this.
Not only that, they do not circumcise their babies or men in Europe or in Asia or in South America. And European doctors and medical associations around the world have roundly denounced the circumcision of healthy baby boys.
All right, we're talking with Brother K. He's the co-founder of the Bloodstained Men and their friends. They're protesting the routine circumcision of male babies in America. You're demonstrating at McGee Women's Hospital. What is it you want McGee to do?
Well, I guess the first thing would be to tell parents that it's not necessary and to give parents proper care of their intact babies. Intact is the term we use for the normal male body. What many doctors are telling parents to do when they bring their intact baby home is they're telling the parents to yank back the skin on his penis and scrub it out. That exactly is what causes the problems and the infections. The parents come back and say, my son is having problems with his penis, and the doctor says, oh, this is why we should have circumcised him. It's a problem caused by following doctor's orders to yank open the skin and clean him out. I raised a daughter, Mike, and if I had yanked open her skin and cleaned her out, believe me, she would have had problems too.
All right, and one last question, because I only have 30 seconds. As far as the religious practices are concerned, you're not arguing. You would recommend against it, but you're not arguing that if you're for religious reasons you're doing it. You're not telling those people what to do or not to do it.
Well, we have many Jewish people in our organization, and we are appealing to the conscience of thoughtful Jewish men and women everywhere to rethink this horrible thing that all Americans are doing, or many Americans are doing to our baby boys.
Well, it seems to me, I've talked about this before, actually, although not lately. This is the first time in quite a while, but I think it is a barbaric practice. I really do. It makes no sense whatsoever to me. Brother K, co-founder of Bloodstained Men and their friends, he was on our 84 Lumber Newsline. They're demonstrating until 3 o'clock this afternoon at McGee Women's Hospital, so if you want to talk to them in person and you happen to be in that area, check it out. Brother K, thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Mike. It was a pleasure.
All right, sir. Take care. 125 traffic on the 5s right now.